All right. Hello, everybody. Let us check and see. Yep, we are good to rock. Live from Denver, it is Friday night. Welcome to Critical Conversations for the 12th of August in the year of our Lord, 2022. And as almost always and always wanted, I am joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Boy, we were last minute getting everything rolling here. It's been a day. I don't think it's going to make any difference at all in terms of the show. We're using Mel's phone today because my phone broke, and I had to get a new one, and it just arrived an hour ago, and so that's happening.
Timed obsolescence.
Yes, exactly.
Planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence. Did you know, on that note, Epson was busted this last week. 5,000 print jobs, something like that. Some or 50,000 or some number. And once it hits it, the printer just stops working. Just period. It doesn't matter what ink you're putting in or what you're doing. Boom, it's just dead. The printer's dead.
Wow.
Yeah, bad news. I have a brother printer. They don't do that apparently, and that is good.
Yeah.
I was reading good things about them, but yeah, you never know. Sneaky, these companies out there. Anyway, glad to see all the usual suspects in the comments section here. Hey, everybody, critics, I adore you, and I am so happy you guys are here to join us for our chat this week. And it is open mic, so it is kind of a wide open for anything y'all want to talk about. Not coming with a preset agenda always makes my life easier. For these shows. What a week. What a day. Today was kind of, some wild news today coming out of Mar-a-Lago, which I kind of keep a little bit of red pill. I just love the bull bait from Red Pill that comes in constantly. It's awesome. Oh yeah, car companies, I'm sure. Yeah,
I
McDonald's
could definitely see that.
Ice cream machine of printers. Yeah, Kevin, I'd agree with you on that.
Always broken.
That's right.
And
anyway,
they took away the twist cones. What kind of horrible people do that?
Right? Those chocolate vanilla, remember those? It was something I would still go to McDonald's for now if they still served it. Yes. I don't go to McDonald's really hardly ever for anything now. Their meat is questionable at best, and the fries, I've gotten over the fries. The memory of McDonald's is always better than the actual experience. It's a little bit like Taco Bell that way. You remember it so well, and then you go back
and it's not so good.
Yeah, not really what you were looking for after all.
But I'm glad they brought the Mexican pizza back. I can't eat it, but I'm just happy that
well, that's true.
It's back because that was my favorite thing when I could eat Taco Bell.
That's true. I do like those. So Mexican pizzas at Taco Bell and the cones at McDonald's are what I would go out for. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, McDonald's decline. All right. So. Yeah, that smell when you walk into McDonald's. It's like the popcorn smell in theaters.
Well, they do it on purpose.
Smell.
They actually have scents that they put on the meat so that you'll get hungry for the food.
Really?
Yeah. If you ever read or see Fast Food Nation, they talk about that. Yeah.
Am I surprised? No. But did I know that? No.
Yeah, it's amazing what they'll do to try to trick you to eat their shitty food.
Wow. Wow. Well,
instead of just make it good food.
Well, that would be too easy.
Yeah.
Or hard, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they do it the way they do. I guess because the meat is cheaper that way. I don't know. We
live in an interesting world, in very interesting times. And, there's you'll see on the podcast this week, I'm putting up with John P. Capitalist. We spent a good chunk of time this week. It's a good, hefty podcast talking about some internet cults and cults that have grown, cults of opportunity, we call them, that have grown up organically around QAnon and some other things, splinter groups, that kind of thing. And there's a Queen of Canada, apparently. And there is a Rise of the Moors is a group, a black African-American group that's sort of sovereign citizen. And anyway, we get into some details about this, quite a bit of detail actually, so I hope you guys will check that out. But we also talk about current times, and John P. being the economist type and Wall Street type that he is, he's got a lot of insightful and sort of deep understanding of certain things that I really appreciate and like talking about. So hope you guys will check that podcast out. But he and I both agree, the last many decades, there's been tumult, there's been civil unrest, there's been this and that and the other thing, but worldwide compared to war, the warrior centuries of the past, the eternal wars that would go on, world wars, I'm talking about big, huge, like Europe is a battlefield wasteland, kind of wars. We haven't experienced those in a while, and we've been living in fairly calm times where statistics have been rising on food production and starvation decline and longevity and lots of things that indicate quality of life statistics are generally rising and have been for decades, and this is very, very interesting. But now we're entering a place where maybe we'll see, how things go. Okay, Henny, what do I think of the raid on the Donald? All right, let's go ahead and talk about that. I am very, very, I'm keenly interested in what is happening. Apparently, did you want to?
I don't know what to think. I mean, he's obviously up to some shit, but he's Teflon Don too, so I'm scared that he won't get in trouble.
Well, we're always afraid of that. And it's like the end of Scientology, watching Donald Trump receive justice is a very frustrating, teeth-gnashingly kind of experience. It's very, very difficult. It assaults your sense of karmic justice or the universal scales of justice. He seems to just avoid that so easily and so readily. As far as accurate raid, info about the raid, all we've got right now is that there is word of the warrant for the raid. Here's what I have to say about this. You don't get a search warrant on an ex-president for nothing. Every single person who put their name on any line authorizing that, asking for it, authorizing it, put their career on the line. Make no mistake, that was a career-deciding move to authorize a search of Mar-a-Lago, right, especially against somebody like Donald Trump, because you have a cult built around Donald Trump in and outside of D.C., with very powerful people who are vengeful. They are vindictive people. This is Cult 101. This is what cults are. If you strike out or lash out or make an enemy out of dear leader, you are a target. And as we saw with Salman Rushdie just yesterday, if I have my timing right, he was stabbed on stage and assaulted by some whack job who jumped up on stage and attacked him, and now he's in the hospital, and fingers crossed he survives this and survives it intact. This is Salman Rushdie, the author of the Satanic Verses, had a fatwa put out against him back when the Ayatollah Khomeini still ruled Iran. Mm-hmm. And while Iran's hierarchy has sort of distanced itself, I've read, from that fatwa, the radicalized Islamic terrorist types and people who go down those rabbit holes, don't forget. Cults have a no forgiveness, no forgetting kind of attitude. Scientology's like that. All cults are actually like that. The level of revenge and vindictiveness, this stuff is quite high. And they have very, very long memories. And so, bringing it back to Trump, you've got this level of indiction of awfulness out of these cult members. And I'll just call them cult members straight up. I don't know why I shouldn't. They certainly act like, talk as, and relate to others as though they are cult members. You cannot talk reason to them. You cannot talk facts with them. You can't have rational conversations with them on the subject of their extremism. Remember, that's just on that topic. They might be perfectly wonderful baristas or writers or whatever, construction workers or politicians or whatever. They might be perfectly good in one area and completely whack in this area. So, so on the area and subject of Trump, there's a lot of controversy generated around that man. And there is this cult following, and they are vindictive people. So, point being that anybody who is making, authorizing this kind of activity, this is a very, 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 very serious thing. It is no light matter to execute a search warrant in a criminal investigation against an ex-president. In fact, it's unprecedented.
Right.
Donald Trump is full of firsts for us. Impeached twice. Didn't win the popular, but got in anyway. That's not necessarily new to him. The insurrection, riled up an insurrection amongst his cult members and actually tried to overthrow the government, and that is what happened.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
If you've not seen the video, watch it, and if you have and you still think that was a tourist attraction, you're whack. I mean, it's very clear. The whole thing was an insurrection. They were trying to overthrow the government, and that is, very, very, very.
And now we have a president
stuff.
that was doing something with nuclear
and
information.
Now, yes, and now we have this, right? The actual warrant is authorized. I guess it's going to be released to the public. Garland, the FBI director, I believe, or AG.
AG, I think.
Yeah, AG. Yeah, he said, "Oh, you want everybody to see the warrant? Okay, I'll show them the warrant." And so now it's going to become public. So far, only certain news media outlets have seen it apparently and are reporting certain things. And apparently, one of the justice codes that was cited in the warrant was the Espionage Act, which is the most serious crime in the United States. Violating the Espionage Act is what they convict spies with. When that couple back in the 50s, I think it was found to have been selling nuclear weapon plans or atomic weapon plans to Russia, or feeding that information to a foreign enemy. They were convicted or tried under the Espionage Act. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. It's a real big deal. I think it's a capital offense. I'm not saying at all that there's any chance whatsoever that that's going to be Donald Trump's fate. I do not.
Well, wouldn't it technically be? I mean, I don't know enough, but it could be treason because.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what the Espionage Act is about. Is you're committing treason against the country, right? There's already the January 6th thing. I mean, I don't really understand how it's not more obvious to more people. I really don't get it. I sit and I watch. I watched it happen when it happened. I watched the aftermath of it, knowing what I know, everything I said. I was like, guys, this is what this man's capable of. People didn't want to hear it or don't believe it or shine it on or whatever. And, and so it wasn't necessarily like a foregone conclusion that January 6th was going to happen, but it was potentially always there. And his enablers, as I mentioned, in and out of D.C. are powerful people, mm-hmm. and they move levers that matter. So he was aided and abetted in that effort. That's what the January 6th hearings have been all about, is exposing and finding out all about that. But with with all of this going on now, it's still in flux.
Yeah.
So you'll see me only kind of comment on certain facts around it. But I don't really know what else to say because it's still in motion.
Right, we don't have all the info yet.
That's right, exactly. And sometimes it takes a while for all the info to come out. So because it's still in, in play, I guess we could say. And yeah, Attorney General, thank you. Not sure what else to say about it. I mean, I kind of said this is what you get when you elect somebody who's insane and who is psychotic, or at least a sociopath. I'll go that far. Let's put it that far. I'll say he's sociopathic. I feel very, very safe. I feel on very strong ground in describing Donald Trump as a sociopath. Whether he's psychotic or not, I'm not sure. The penalty for high treason is life imprisonment, it says here, according to Wikipedia. But
you can die too.
yes, capital punishment is a legal penalty under the criminal justice system in the United States federal government. It can be imposed for treason, espionage, murder, large-scale drug trafficking, or attempted murder of a witness, juror, or court officer in certain cases.
Yeah.
So that's capital punishment.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it is very, as Sandy mentions here, it is very frustrating to see people not being able to see beyond the veil there. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Alex. Hey, Alex. Welcome from across the pond, as well as Hey Hun, and anybody else joining us from the European side of things.
Or anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Very, very much so. So that's it. Rosenbergs. Thank you, Red Pill, for that. So yes, it is very, very frustrating. Endlessly so. To have seen all this years ago, be talking about it, trying to warn people about it, be argued with, told I never left the cult because look at what a left-wing cultist I am for daring to say that there's some danger in Donald Trump. It's just, after a while, you're just like, okay, dudes, whatever. Maybe we deserve this fate. I really don't know. But, we
don't deserve this fate.
Humanity,
the people maybe that supported him do, but
that's for sure.
We certainly don't. Darn it.
No, I don't think we do either. I really don't. But it gets frustrating sometimes. Hey, currently very close to Salford. Hey, Jay, cool.
Nice.
All right, very good. All right, so that's my diatribe there. I don't know how useful that was, but that's some stuff I can say about the Trumpster there. Let's pick up a couple calls coming in the queue here. Hello, is this Kevin?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Hey, Kevin, welcome to the show.
So how bad do you guys think this is going to get? If it gets to the point where they convict him of something that makes it so that he can't run for election again, do you think we're going to see maybe like some sort of insurgency or something like that?
Well, we already have. I mean,
there'll at least be violent protests.
Right? There's that one guy who was killed outside an Ohio FBI office. I think it was Ohio, right?
Yeah, after trying to shoot it up with a nail gun or something like that.
That's right. He went in there, loaded for bear. He was at war with the FBI. He literally posted it on his social media, on Truth Social. Yep. Apparently, the man was a prolific poster. Could indicate potential brain issues there, by the way, temporal lobe epilepsy, that kind of thing. Who cares? He went off the rails, went totally off the reservation. And that is exactly the kind of radicalized behavior that I've been afraid of from day one. Because that is a radicalized extremist. That's a person who is now incited to go commit violence in the name of his cause. And that's where you've crossed a line now, where you're actually now you're you could be credibly labeled, and I boldly did so, a terrorist organization. Now you've gone from this sort of belief set and crazy ideas and stupid stuff you're throwing around about hydrochlorocloxin or whatever the stuff and all that, to actually going and picking up a gun and trying to kill somebody. That's whack, especially for this man and this belief set. It boggles me. It absolutely boggles me that this man engenders this level of loyalty and dedication in people. He does nothing to deserve it. And yet they just can't, they fall all over themselves trying to demonstrate their loyalty to the cause and to the patriotism of the United States by going and trying to kill federal agents. It's so backwards. So anyway, so that's there's a response. What do you think about all this, Kevin?
I totally agree. I don't understand what's going on. I'm a gun owner, and I'm a politically active gun owner, and so I'm involved in some state level groups as far that do stuff in Lansing. So I run in some very interesting circles. Let's just say that I am not really on the same page politically with a lot of people that are in said group. I can't say that for everybody because I don't have the my finger on the pulse of everybody that considers themselves a Republican and owns guns and whatnot. But I've seen people where their main thing as far as whether they're going to vote for somebody at a state level election or for the House or Senate is whether they will support Trump or not. And
wow.
Everything else comes after that.
That's right.
And I just don't get it. That is exactly something that happens in an autocratic or theocratic dictatorship.
Yep. That's right. It's a cult.
It's
a cult.
Yeah, right. Well, I do get it. I should take that back. I do get it. Through watching your show, I do have a little bit of a grasp on the reasoning as far as why people get to that mindset. But at the same time, I still don't get it.
I know. I
get it, but I don't.
Exactly. And believe me, I hear you so loud and clear. I feel the same way. You know, I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I think it was, talked about recovery from these cults and from Scientology. And I'm now at the point where I feel that way about Scientology. I'm so far out now and so removed from the headspace and the belief set now, and it's so much not a part of my life and so much distance and time and recovery has happened that I now look at Scientologists the exact same way. I am endlessly frustrated at how could you? You know, there's that emotional like, even though I totally get it. You know, so it's like, so I definitely get your frustrations.
And you know, when you ask these people this, they'll say they're doing this to protect democracy, to preserve liberty, and preserve freedom.
Yep.
When taking an action such as that in this situation is the exact opposite. It's committing an act of violence to keep a politician in power. That's not how we do things here.
No.
That's right. That's right. And that's that underground kind of thing that you're going to find on social media. If you go to Truth Social or you go to the private Facebook groups or even some of the public Facebook groups, that's what these people are riling themselves up about. And like Scientology,
goes around unchecked.
Well, yeah, and you have people, actually, it gets worse because it's not just, I mean, this is conjecture on my part. I am admitting that it is. But knowing what I know about how these groups operate and how public relations and propaganda work, you have agent provocateurs in these groups. You have people who are on a mission, maybe even paid, PR personalities or image, brand type people who go in and rile people up on this, right? Because, things like Jan 6 don't just happen.
No.
These are created situations. This is so important for people to get. And so this riling up factor is something that I think that's where law enforcement and where hopefully these, you would think the social media companies would get on board with this, but they don't for their own awful reasons. So we kind of have this horrible mix,
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not all up for going overboard on surveillance, but something needs to happen.
Well, that's exactly. And that's kind of the problem. Is it's sort of like you want the surveillance state, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Can you just surveil the right people?
You want the benefits of this. I'm sorry, Kevin, I cut you off. What was that?
Oh, I said I don't. Go ahead and go after the insurrectionists, but leave me and my Facebook recipes alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You would think there would be some kind of system you could set up. If they could target advertising at a micro level as to what your interests are, what you say, who you say it to, and they can. Why can't they use that level of tech to monitor people who are radicalized or being radicalized? Why can't they do that? There isn't any technical reason.
Because they're doing it with computers, and the computers are going to mess it up.
Yes and no.
Yeah, they're either going to catch that thing or catch something.
I mean, yes.
Look at how many people get
want...
banned on Facebook for some of the stupid
No,
stuff
I know, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the way the advertising is targeted, right? That side of the tech is highly developed. Highly developed. I mean, they have databases at Facebook and Twitter. I believe Twitter, maybe less so, but certainly at Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
And which is tied to Instagram, right? I'm absolutely 1,000% positive TikTok is doing the exact same thing, probably even more than Facebook is, where they keep a database file on everything about you. You know, not only what you're interested in, how long you spent looking at it, and how, you know, did you thumb off it or did you click off it? And I mean, all this data could be utilized in a security sense, right? It could be. And... Yep. You know, just to red flag things, maybe point to groups that are troublesome because that group has all kinds of people in it generating all kinds of violent rhetoric, let's say, stuff like that, right? You could use this tech for that. And I don't know if it is being done. I haven't seen or heard much about that side of it. I mostly see it and hear about it being used for thought reform and mental manipulation.
Just, advertise groups to you that you're not even a part of.
Well, Facebook. that's a whole new thing that they're doing now.
That's just they're
really
trying.
They've shifted the algorithms around on social media now so that they're trying to offer you more variety and not sink you into echo chambers.
It doesn't really feel like variety to me. It just feels like copycats of everything else I already belong to.
I hear you. I'm not saying they're doing it well. I'm just saying that's what they're trying to do.
Okay. Well, it's
not a
working.
Reaction to all that, you know, to the social network and the other exposure, right? Anyway,
try harder.
Kevin, please. We're just totally talking here. What else do you have to say on this?
Well, I've had people ask me, well, you know, what's your red line? I guess, you know, some people that I know that are big into like prepping and firearms and stuff, they always have this, you know, where if this gets crossed, so it's going to be 1776 2.0 all over again.
Yep. And if you noticed Lauren Boebert's tweets during January 6th,
you
know, they thought that's what it was going to be. That they thought they were going to pull it off then. Actually, on January 6th, right?
Well, here's what it would have to come down to for me. If we're talking about people of certain ethnic origins being rounded up and put into camps and freedoms being taken away, sure, I'll be right there with you. But if we're talking about keeping somebody in power based on a conspiracy theory, well, to be honest with you, I probably have some of the same types of weaponry and helmets and ballistic carry and all that than these people do. Well, you know, I'm not going to take my stuff and join you guys. I'm going to take my stuff and join the Biden government people because you guys are being idiots.
Well, exactly, and I really don't want it to ever
come to
that.
Either.
Yeah, nobody wants that, right? Nobody in their rational mind wants that. And that's I believe, if I might say, that I believe that's actually a lot farther away than people might think.
I don't think it's really going to get to that point, but people like to fantasize about it, and it's like, that's your whole fantasy is you're going to go to war against the United States to keep President Trump in power?
Exactly.
That's your thing?
That's your big plan, right? And I think you're going to find, especially as time continues to march forward here, that less and less people are actually willing to show up for that.
Yeah.
You know,
hope so.
It's kind of like the one truck that arrived in D.C., you know, that big trucker convoy thing.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? And it was like, by the end of it, one guy shows up in D.C. or something, if I read that right. So, you know, they can talk a big talk. Everybody can talk a big talk. But when it comes time to show up, you know, this is not something I am at all concerned about in terms of could a halfway decent police force, National Guard, or if it was really called for, you know, the U.S. military, could they stop this sort of thing? Absolutely. Of course they could.
We have drones.
You know? Yeah. Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
But Kevin, thank you for sharing your concerns about that, because I hear you loud and clear.
I'll just end with this.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, and I hope it doesn't come to that. Yeah. So,
well, here's
what I hope we can all figure something. Oh,
exactly.
Go ahead, sorry.
All we can do is what we're doing right now with sharing, caring, being compassionate with our fellow man, and not necessarily, here's my best advice on this, is in personal interactions with people who are in this radicalized or, not radicalized. By that point, you got to call the police, but pre-radicalization, right? Just do the best you can to treat these folks with compassion, with as much tolerance and understanding as you can, knowing what you know about the headspace that they're in and how they got there. They weren't born crazy. They were made that way by information that they've accepted and emotionally connected to. And do the best you can to keep the conversations calm and rational and engaged with the frontal lobes. That's really, on a personal level, the best we can do at this time. And so that's my best advice in that direction.
I did just want to say one last thing. I hope this is a catalyst for the Republican Party to, not that I'm a huge fan of the Republican Party, but I hope this is a catalyst for them to finally to tell Trump to go the hell away and stay away.
Exactly.
And we don't want you, because they're not that, like I said, I'm not a huge fan, but they're not going to survive as a political party if he keeps at this.
That's right.
It's just not going to happen.
That's right. Especially if this search warrant and investigation goes the direction we all want it to.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. We'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Let's go right to the next call, because we have a few in the queue here.
Oh, yeah,
and this is, well, hello. You're on. I don't know your name. From Tampa?
Yes, this is Liberty.
Okay. Hi. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you. Yes, I've been here once and I was a little nervous and I didn't get everything that I wanted. So here it goes.
Yep.
So I'm a former believer, right? And I really want to do something to get my family out, or the people that's in there that I care about. Of course, they are connected. Their lives are around business that are owned by Scientologists. So it's very hard. It's like I see it impossible. And also, I don't want to give Scientology or like by the way I talk or something, that my family needs to go through those check checks and just spend my money because of the things I say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being very quiet. I'm just keeping it to myself, the way I feel about Scientology. But I really want to bring into them some of that logical fallacies. It's like, what can I say to them? Like, I wish I could say, like, I read all about it. I'm alive. Nothing happened to me. It's like they don't even talk amongst each other, right, about what's going on in there. It's like, that what can I say that I can start planting seeds so they open their eyes?
Right.
I just want...
Well, the way to go about it this is with your family members?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So so you're saying, let me make sure I'm totally understanding. You have family members who are still in Scientology. You've kind of exited from that or don't want to have anything to do with that, but you're asking, how do you talk to them about it, plant seeds so that they might eventually get out as well? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So two things. Thing number one is there's two different kind of tacks you can take here. First, you could ask questions. Rather than tell them things, ask them things about their experiences, their beliefs, their ideas. And the reality of Scientology is that it's actually pretty awful. But their idea of it is that it's this wonderful, amazing thing. And so if you ask them questions about their experiences or their ideas about it that sort of lead in the direction of, you know, some of the awful of it, how much, you know, the money, for example, right? You know, wow, how much have you spent on Scientology this year, you know, kind of thing. If they're spending money on it, right? You know, how much and what's their involvement? What are they getting out of it? Are they happy with it? Are they happy in it? Are they enjoying their experiences? And if so, that's fine. You don't have to argue with them about it. The point is not to argue. The point is simply to ask questions. That's the best way of seed planting because it's non-confrontational, right? It's you being interested in them.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I have tried, and it's like you said, everything is wonderful, and they're having a lot of wins. It's like nothing is wrong. And
okay. Well, then at this
love.
time, if that's their experience of it, then it's going to be really hard to sell them on how awful it is, right? Deep, deep, deep down. And are they deep in, or are they at the lower levels of it? Your family.
I would say it's deep. Like two of them are in the OT levels, and one of them is the OT 7.
Oh,
one
it's
of them
OT
is
7. Okay, yeah.
Just,
yeah, you're going to have a real hard time talking them out of it if they're on the OT levels now. Yeah. The other thing I would do, and this is another tack you might take, is talking about other cults with them. Scientologists love being critical of other groups, right? They love, you know, getting down on other groups and stuff. So if you were to point out or talk about or, show documentaries or something, never, ever relate it to Scientology, right? But there are so many documentaries about cults out there on Netflix and Hulu and other places that are so easy to find. And if you were to express some interest in that direction and maybe see if they're at all interested in looking at or seeing any of that stuff. And like I said, don't say, yeah, this is Scientology. Don't ever do that, right? But just get them looking at other cults, right? Even if it's just for entertainment purposes to start with. It's not like you have to make a lot of demands on them or, did you see that? Did you see that? You know, you don't want to get too crazy with it, but that can all by itself get some wheels rolling in their heads. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's bad and that's a cult, but that happened to me, huh? And just kind of let it play out, you know, because when they're on their OT levels, if you're talking about people that far in, it's going to take a while for them to kind of snap out of that, you know? So that's the best approach I could think of for you in your situation right now. What do you think?
I will give it a try. And the reason why I started looking into it is into what is this OT levels, and that's when I started looking into your videos. And because my relative, she was not doing. She doesn't feel she doesn't seem happy. She is less capable. Mm-hmm. She's afraid of driving. She's afraid of doing things that she used to be doing normally. I mean, she's older, but her idea of the reality is like she's in a cocoon. And even more with the COVID, they were secluded. They were just deepened completely. It was like the worst timing ever for them because they were really doing OT every day.
Right.
And so I see her changing in a negative way, and that's the reason why. Because I was reading about becoming OTA one day, right? It's like, but then I saw her, and she doesn't look like the powerful person that I thought she was gonna be. I thought she was gonna be sensing my thoughts,
right?
And she's not.
No, she's not. She's definitely not reading your mind. And you know, if there is any way you could have a strictly social conversation about your concerns about her getting worse But again, don't relate it back to Scientology. You know, it's not, the conversation's not, you know, ever since you've been doing this Scientology, I have noticed that things have gotten worse for you, right? Don't do that. But I'm a little concerned. How are things going? I'm not sure, you know, how's it, you know, kind of see what they have to say, right? If they give you any kind of opening or any kind of, things aren't going that great. Yeah, what's up? I kind of noticed, you know, tell me what's happening. Be concerned, be curious, be interested. That's how you know, get them to, that's how communication's supposed to be anyway. So anyway, try those things and let me know how it goes.
I will.
Great.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Pick up this next one. I had on hold a little bit longer than I'd like. Hello, you were on Texas?
This is Anthony.
Anthony. Hey. How's it going?
Good, man. Good to see you. Yeah, you can just call me Texas from now on, I guess.
What's up?
I'm proud to be a Texan. Anyway, well, I noticed you guys were streaming when I think the caller before the last one was on. And I heard you guys talking a lot about Trump, and I know huge news right now with the raid and what they just said the raid was about. And I know you were making some comparisons in there to Scientology, and I don't want to be too redundant in my questions here.
Sure.
But
what you got?
I wanted to ask you if we could go into a little bit more detail about all the similarities that exist between Hubbard and Trump.
Sure.
Because first, there's so many. They're practically. I think you said in an earlier thing that they're practically the same guy. And first of all, there's the physical similarities. I mean, they both kind of look like the same person.
Yes, there are similarities there.
Yeah, and also the abilities they have over people to control people. Certain people, like there's a certain, like it's either you're in complete awe of this person and you believe every word they say is gospel, or you look at this person and you think, how the hell could anyone take this clown seriously?
Correct.
Which is,
yep.
So I'm wondering if you could comment on that. What are there any real substantial differences between them other than them occupying separate bodies?
Well, certainly they've had very different lives. Hubbard was not raised in a rich, he never had money until Scientology and really Dianetics and then Scientology. He got along, but he never really had big money. And he wasn't really a deal maker that way, right? He wasn't into that wasn't his thing. He was into writing, and Hubbard's thing is smashing his name. He told his wife exactly what his thing is, and I believe him because he's the one who wrote it. I want to smash my name into history so violently that it's never forgotten, even if all the books are destroyed and all of the, libraries torn down, they will still remember my name. And in that way, and through that means Hubbard imagined that he would attain a kind of immortality. That's his thing. So the basic push or mission, you could say, that Hubbard was on was a bit different than Trump's. I wouldn't say that Trump is trying to slam his name into history so nobody ever forgets him.
But he might just have.
Well, that's true. But what he wants is he wants his name on everybody's lips right here in the here and now. He wants that adulation. What he gets off on, and just like Hubbard, is, when Hubbard would lecture, when Trump goes out and does his, Nuremberg rallies, it's the same kind of thing, right? There's this glow, this adulation. You can see it in their eyes and their smile that, it's like heaven for them. That's what they get. That's what both of those personalities get off on. And that's the narcissistic megalomania, right, that we talk about. So different life purposes, I would say, different directions they're going in is where they're quite different, but they are married on the personality type. And that's what's so awful about it. And there's a talent both of them have, and this is almost to the level of a superpower. And I say that because of the effects that they can have on other people around them, that fanaticism that they engender. And the superpower is that in the moment, they can say whatever words are necessary for the person in front of them to hear, so that this person will leave that conversation happy. Wonder, Trump's the best, right? Maybe they even went into the conversation ready to just, slap Hubbard up one side and down the other, or Trump, right? Just pissed, upset, and they can turn it. They just have this ability to do that. There's an awareness of the person in front of them and what that person's needs are. Somehow, it's a sixth sense kind of thing. And that's a power. That's a superpower. Not a lot of people can do that. Politicians try to develop that skill over time. Some of them are really good at it, and the ones who are really good at it are the ones who kind of rise. The ones who suck at it don't. Because this is how you get that support and that base of support, right? As you do that enough times with enough people, especially people who matter, in other words, people who are influencers or have power, you get them on your side, and suddenly you have, 50 more people on your side. And you didn't have to go talk to all 50 of them. The influencer did, right? For you. And that's how they develop an inner circle. They routinely, another point of commonality between them is that they leave behind them a trail of a litter of bodies, of broken relationships, of destroyed businesses, of ruined lives, marital partners who wish they had never seen them, much less talked to them, friends who are no longer friends, right, because they got stepped on. This is a very common trait with narcissists, malignant narcissists in general, and Hubbard and Trump specifically. So you can count on the fact anybody with a brain who goes into a relationship with somebody like a Trump or a Hubbard is quite literally, I wish I could get this across to people, you're literally taking your life into your hands by being associated with these people, because they will destroy your life and not think twice about it. If it's in their best interest to destroy you, they have no moral qualms about doing so. And that's another point that they meet on.
It seems like the people that get in Trump's orbit are just fine with destroying themselves because of him, too.
Well, there you get the martyr syndrome, but I'm not talking about that. I
don't mean like in the martyr way. I just mean like you look at someone like Rudy Giuliani, and it's just like, what happened to him?
Well, he's nuts. Yeah,
he went nuts on something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah.
As far as you know, have Trump and Miscavige ever met?
No. As far as I know, they have not.
No?
And I'd be really surprised if they have. I'd be very surprised.
I mean, Trump seems to meet everybody notable. So that's why I asked.
Trump has met Scientologists. He's brought them into the White House, but he's not met David Miscavige.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, I wanted to back up a little bit.
Obviously, if it was in secret, I wouldn't know. But
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I said the as far as you know part. You mentioned the background that they have and how their background's very different.
Yeah.
And if you read Mary Trump's book and you listen to, I don't know if you've ever read Mary Trump's book or listened to her.
I know who she is, but I've not read the book.
Okay, well, it's worth reading. I recommend it, and I also recommend listening to her podcast and all the commentary she's done on her uncle, because I think she really is the best window into his pathology of anyone that's out there.
Yeah.
And she talks about Trump's father, Fred Trump, and how Fred Trump was sort of the cause of, he's sort of the reason Trump is the way he is.
Yeah.
Fred Trump was a very controlling, harsh, unloving, domineering figure.
Yes.
And the only thing that mattered to him was being a winner.
That's right.
And, me personally, I could care less if I win anything in terms of like a game or like any kind of competition. I'm not a very competition-minded person, but that was the whole basis of the, Fred Trump, how he raised his family.
Right.
So I don't know a thing about Hubbard's father. Do you know was he a perfectly ordinary?
Very different. Completely different.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Hubbard was brought up in a loving household with family members who cared about him. He appears to have been a bit of a bad seed. I mean, the red flags appear pretty quickly with him. He was a liar, storyteller type, like very early on, and he resented other people. He was racist, and he was very, very, very self-serving from a very early age. Trump was raised, Patton Oswalt has said, and I agree with him completely, that Trump's family and Trump's home was a monster factory.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost built to create awful people. Hubbard had the exact opposite home life, and yet he turned out the way that he did because he was the way that he was, possibly aided and abetted by brain damage at some point. Certainly by the time he was 27 years old, 1938, there were indications of that temporal lobe epilepsy that we talk about with him. So you have that sort of, exaggerated, grandiose sense of self and an almost religious fervor connected with his mission to slam his name into history. All of that is around that same time period. And so we wonder either the nitrous oxide or maybe there were accidents he'd had before that where possibly that's what happened. Or he was just kind of born that way, or he just kind of developed the way that he did despite his family's best efforts. But it wasn't the same situation with his upbringing at all as it was with Trump's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest difference, it seems.
Yeah.
You look at the two of them, and there's just, you can't help but just be overwhelmed by the similarities. But in terms of personal background and sort of the crucible that they were molded in, it couldn't be more different. So
that's right.
That's the fascinating feature about that dichotomy there. Another thing.
Yes, I am going to wrap this up in a minute. So because I have another call in the queue that I've been having on for too long. But tell me what you got.
Of course. Real quick, were you conservative when you were a Scientologist?
You bet I was. All the way down.
Yeah.
All the way down. I was a ditto head, dude. I followed Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was nuts. I was pretty nuts. I mean, and I admit it, not because I was conservative. That's not nuts. There's nothing wrong with conservatism. But the people I was listening to and the conspiracy theories the rabbit holes I went down and the sort of, it was a faux conservatism. It was this really mashup of libertarianism, conservatism, and right-wing nutcasey kind of stuff all melded into one. And that was the environment I was in, and I responded to it by agreeing with it for a long time.
Do you think Scientology is really MAGA?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're told by people who are in right now that that it's very MAGA. There's a lot of QAnon supporters and MAGA supporters in Scientology.
I'm not surprised at all.
Nope.
All right, well, I'll let you go and get on to your next caller. Thanks,
Awesome.
Man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Good talk. Bye-bye.
Right. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right, and you have been so patient. So patient. Henny?
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, guys. How are you? How's Benson?
Oh, I'll show you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
I'll have to.
Benson
No,
Cam.
please. I'll have. Listen, I'll have to look later because I'm on my phone, so I have to look back.
Of course. Well, there's some Benson
But
Cam
I'm
for
so
the audience.
Glad.
Yep.
I am so glad because I'll get to see Benson. I'm so glad. Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
Can't wait for your quote. Hi, sweetheart. Listen, okay, so, I wanted to call, really. I was so happy, and I am so happy to be spending Friday night with you and everyone else.
Thank
And
you.
I am so happy about open mic. I think we should do it again because I really want to touch on mental illness. I really, really do.
Yeah.
If that's okay at some point,
Yeah, of course.
I think it's so important for us. But we were getting into all different types of, between Scientology and between Trump and the cult of Trump and, all the different leaders that were, in my opinion, as with the last caller that just called, and he was very interesting, by the way, Texas, I guess he said it.
Yeah, Anthony, that's right, yeah.
Well, okay, Anthony, I prefer Anthony. If that's okay. There's a thread that seems to go through these people like L. Ron Hubbard, and I was actually quite amazed that he even asked if Trump had met David Miscavige, because they all have a common thread. Narcissism and narcissistic personality. I don't know. I'm sure that it can be formed more if you're in a home that, puts forth that, okay? Yeah. But I would imagine that personality is a personality. And it develops on its own, individual. And they all have a common thread of entitlement, of manipulation, of contempt. And
yes, that contempt is an important one, too, by the way. People miss that one sometimes. They have nothing but contempt for other people.
Thank you, Chris, because I have to live with this on a weekly basis. So I look at it and I see it, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's the most horrible thing. But they all have it, and I would like to say, because, I'm also in therapy. I've been going to therapy. And what I realized was happening with people such as myself, people who stay in these narcissistic belief systems and religions, or if whatever bullshit they're throwing at you that they are, for so long, is really what I learned was called sunk cost fallacy.
Yep, that's right.
And yes. And basically what that is that you believe something, someone is bullshitting you, and you invest so much of your time and yourself, your money, your life, everything in this belief. And as time starts to go by, even if there's a doubt, you tend to think that you've put so much into it that to walk away, what do you come away with?
Exactly.
So maybe things will be better. Maybe things are, you're going up that bridge. You're going to do harder. You're going to get that person's approval, and it just doesn't exist. But this is a very important lesson to learn about people who are stuck, whether it's, in a relationship or a cult. Do you know what I mean? Or a job where there's someone who is, dictating and, all those terrible things.
It's very, very hard, but it has to be that when you find yourself in a situation like that, you just cut the cord. You just hit the eject button. As hard as it might be.
I totally agree with you, but I think about all the time that I've lost in the belief, and it's like, oh my God. And, I think it was John Bousseau. Is that his name? He was, am I right?
The ex-Sea Org member who renovated Tom Cruise's properties?
No, he was David Miscavige's brother-in-law. He was married to the sister.
Oh.
John?
I don't remember the name of the guy who was married to Miscavige's sister. Okay. Sorry. I don't remember that name.
Okay. Nope, that's okay.
Yeah.
But he had spent so much time. He said, and when it actually happened, he felt like he jumped from a parachute, from a plane without a parachute.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, it's very, it really is like that. It really is like that. It's very hard. But yet, like you said, it can be done. It's just that, people need to realize, what they're getting themselves into before they, before they just
that's the
belief.
real solution to the problem is know before you go. Is don't
Yes.
make the mistake in the first place of having to admit you're in a sunk cost fallacy. I mean, that's really the wise person's solution to it. And the only way is slow your roll. Don't get emotionally invested in much of anything, to an excessive degree at least. And always be willing to question. Always be willing to pull back. Always keep one foot or at least one toe out the door. There is no cause, there is no group, there is no individual who you owe your undying, unquestioning support.
Nope.
Period. Always
Absolutely
question.
Beautifully said.
So,
Absolutely beautifully said.
There you go.
Bravo
Thanks, Henny.
to you. And okay, you're welcome. I'm going back to the show.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great call.
Night.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Goodbye.
All right. And those are our calls for this week. These have been great. This has been an awesome open mic. And that, by the way, is our fallacy of the week. We're not going to do a card because Henny did it so beautifully for us. Sunk cost fallacy. It's real, it's powerful, and the only reason that I can advise so easily to hit that reset button or eject button is because that's what I did. And I know exactly how it feels. And it's not fun. It's not easy. It's not something you would want to necessarily find yourself in the position of needing to do. But if the time comes, do it.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate. You've already invested enough in the bullshit. And you don't need to invest more. That all being said, I did not want to neglect your quote, even though we waited till the end of the show. What do you got?
And it's trying to fly away. Okay. Sorry, this is about patience because I know I've needed to practice that lately. So have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy. And that's from Sadi.
How perfect. What a perfect quote for what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's true. I never, ever, ever anticipated my life going in the direction that it's gone when I hit that eject button from the Sea Organ from Scientology. That was the biggest reset button you can hit on a life. Everything changed. And, not necessarily easy to do, not necessarily fun in the moment. But if I had known this is where I was going to end up, I would have done it a hell of a lot earlier. So there you go. All right, guys. So on that happy note, I want to thank all of y'all for watching. We really very much appreciate your viewership and your support. And I will say that this show, all this stuff, everything we're doing here, it's because of you guys. 100% critics supported. So hit that like button, share this content. It's the only way I know how to try to get some more calm and rationality out there.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next week. Watch for the podcast, and not sure yet. Q&A will probably be pre-recorded. Might be live. Probably not. Probably pre-recorded. So anyway, watch for it this weekend. All right, guys. See ya soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.